Here is a number that should make you furious. The average car owner spends between $150 and $220 on a replacement battery every 4 to 5 years. They walk into the parts store, they see the biggest display with the brightest label, and they buy it. They trust the brand. They trust the recommendation of whoever is standing behind that counter. And here is the brutal truth. That person behind the counter has a margin target, not a loyalty oath to your vehicle. Now here is what the mechanic working 3 bays down the street actually does. He spends between $80 and $120. He gets a battery that lasts 6 to 8 years. He does not buy the one with the biggest end cap. He does not buy the one the parts store pushes hardest. He buys the one he knows works because he has seen what happens when a battery fails on a lift at 7 in the morning and the customer is screaming by 7:30. Mechanics do not have the luxury of optimism. They have the obligation of results. Here is the thing. The battery aisle is one of the most cynically engineered spaces in the entire retail automotive world. The same cells, built in the same facilities by the same parent companies, get wrapped in different plastic, stamped with different names, and sold at prices that vary by $60, $70, even $100. One label goes to the back of the mechanic's personal truck. The other label goes on the shelf under the fluorescent light where you and every other trusting consumer walks past it and assumes price equals quality. And get this, the companies doing this are not hiding it. They are counting on you not knowing. Today, we are going to make sure you know. We have 8 brands on this list. Some of them you have heard of, some of them you have almost certainly never bought. And the last one, number 1, is the brand mechanics have quietly fought over since before you could Google anything about cars. Stick around for that one. It might change every battery purchase you make for the rest of your life. Number 8, Deka and Nappa legend. East Penn Manufacturing. Let us start where almost no civilian consumer ever looks. Deka. If you have never heard of Deka, that is not an accident. That is a business strategy. East Penn Manufacturing, headquartered in Lyon Station, Pennsylvania, is one of the last major battery manufacturers in the United States that is not owned by Clarios. And that matters more than you know, because Clarios owns or makes batteries for roughly half of what you see on any parts store shelf. East Penn answers to nobody but itself, and its engineers have been building batteries without the pressure of a conglomerate's quarterly earnings report. The Deka Intimidator AGM delivers 760 cold cranking amps and a 140-minute reserve capacity. That reserve capacity number, that is the one to watch. It tells you how long the battery can run. Your vehicle's electrical systems if the alternator goes down. 140 minutes is not a marketing number. That is an engineering number. The genuine 4-year free replacement warranty, not prorated, not adjusted, not quietly capped, backs it up. Here is where it gets truly interesting. Master technician forums, the ones that are not open to the public, the ones where the 20-year veterans talk, consistently rank East Penn's build quality at the top of the flooded lead acid segment. Not second, not tied, at the top. You will find Deka sold through Nappa stores under the Nappa Legend branding, through independent distributors, and through wholesale channels. You will almost never find it with a flashy end cap in a big box parts chain. Bottom line, Deka is the battery the industry quietly respects and publicly ignores. Translation, the people who know the most about batteries buy this one. Retail price runs $140 to $200 depending on group size. But if you think the insider secret stops at Deka, the next brand on this list takes that secrecy to a completely different altitude. Number 7. Odyssey PC 1500, Interstate. The word military gets thrown around in automotive marketing so casually it has almost lost meaning. Almost. Interstate, the company behind the Odyssey battery, actually supplies power systems to NATO military vehicles and aerospace ground support equipment. When your battery manufacturer's other clients include organizations that cannot afford to have their equipment not start, that is not marketing. That is a resume. The reason mechanics who work on high-demand vehicles, diesel trucks, vehicles with large amplifier loads, cars in extreme climates, reach for the Odyssey comes down to 2 words: pure lead construction. Most batteries use lead alloy plates. The Odyssey uses pure lead plates. Pure lead is denser and harder to manufacture, which is why almost nobody does it at scale. But here is what it means in practice. The plates can be made thinner, which means you can fit more of them inside the same case, which means more surface area, more power, more cranking cycles before the battery degrades. The PC 1500 delivers 880 cold cranking amps and a 135-minute reserve capacity. But the number that mechanics actually talk about is the cycle life. The Odyssey is rated for up to 400 deep discharge and recharge cycles. A standard flooded battery might give you 150 cycles before meaningful degradation. And get this, real-world lifespan in moderate climates runs 8 to 12 years. The average consumer replaces a battery every 4 to 5 years. An Odyssey owner in the right conditions might replace it once a decade. The real kicker is the price. Retailing at $250 to $310, the Odyssey is not cheap. But when you do the math, 2 budget batteries over. 10 years versus 1 Odyssey. The Odyssey wins on cost per year. Mechanics do that math automatically. Most consumers never do. No mechanic will tell you this at the counter, but the Odyssey is what goes in the vehicles they actually care about. Their own. Number 6. Costco Kirkland, Interstate manufactured. If you are a Costco member and you have never bought a car battery there, you have been leaving money on the table every single time your battery has died. Here is the thing. The Kirkland Signature car battery is manufactured by Interstate Batteries and built to the same specification as Interstate's standard retail line. Same cells, same chemistry, same construction, different label. $30 to $50 cheaper. This is not speculation. This is the kind of supply chain reality that mechanics have passed around on shop floors for years. When you understand that Interstate is one of the largest battery distributors in North America and supplies OEM replacement stock to Toyota, Hyundai, and General Motors dealerships, the idea that their manufacturing baseline is somehow compromised because the label says Kirkland becomes genuinely absurd. But here is where it gets truly damning for every other brand on the retail shelf. Costco's return policy. No questions asked, no pro rating. No, well, your warranty is technically still active, but you will get $16 back on the battery you paid $110 for 3 years ago. You bring it back, they replace it or refund it. For a product category where the pro-rated warranty cliff is one of the most cynical tricks in retail, where a battery's 3-year warranty quietly becomes a $2 credit by year 2, the Costco model is genuinely radical. Mechanics who know this buy Kirkland exclusively for their daily drivers. Not their weekend builds, not their project cars, their daily drivers. The vehicles they cannot afford to have fail. Retail price, $80 to $120. Translation, you're buying an Interstate battery and getting an unconditional return policy as a bonus. If you're getting value from this kind of inside knowledge, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. There is more where this came from, and none of it comes with a parts store margin attached. Number 5. Interstate MTZ AGM. Here is what most people do not know about Interstate batteries. The brand has 2 very different product lines, and the parts store almost always steers you toward the wrong one. The standard MTP line, that is the one with the big display, the one the counter person recommends first, the one that earns the highest margin. The MTZ AGM line, that is the one Interstate mechanics and fleet managers actually buy for their personal vehicles. The MTZ is a true absorbed glass mat battery, which means the electrolyte is suspended in glass fiber matting rather than floating freely. No spill risk, better vibration resistance, better deep cycle recovery. And critically, independent load testing shows the MTZ holds its rated cold cranking amps within 5% after 3 years of service. A benchmark that sounds modest until you realize most standard batteries are delivering 20 to 30% below their rated spec by year 3. And get this, Interstate supplies OEM replacement batteries to Toyota, Hyundai, and General Motors dealership service departments. When the dealer puts a factory replacement battery in your vehicle, there is a meaningful chance it came off the same Interstate production line as the MTZ. The OEM spec label just cost you $60 more. Bottom line, the MTZ AGM retails at $130 to $190 and delivers the kind of flat, consistent, reliable performance that does not make headlines and does not need to. It is the battery equivalent of a mechanic who shows up at 7 every morning, never calls in sick, and never asks for recognition. You want that mechanic. You want this battery. The community question lands right here. What battery is sitting in your car right now? Drop the brand in the comments. Let us find out how many of you already know this secret and how many of us have been paying the NCAP tax without realizing it. Number 4. ACDelco Professional AGM. Let us talk about something that should be obvious but almost never is. When General Motors engineers design a vehicle, they specify a battery to match the electrical demands of that vehicle precisely. They do not go to the parts store, they go to their supplier. And for decades, that supplier has been ACDelco, specifically the Professional AGM line. This is not a rebranded shelf battery dressed up in factory clothing. This is the factory clothing. The ACDelco Professional AGM delivers 760 to 850 cold cranking amps depending on group size, with a 120-minute reserve capacity. Lifespan in real-world conditions runs 5 to 7 years. When mechanics working on General Motors vehicles, Silverados, Suburbans, Equinoxes, everything in the lineup, need to replace a battery and they want the vehicle to behave exactly as it was engineered to behave, they reach for ACDelco Professional. Not because of brand loyalty, because of specification alignment. Here is the real kicker. ACDelco Professional AGM batteries are available at wholesale clubs and General Motors dealerships, frequently at $20 to $40 less than equivalent spec competitors on the retail shelf. You are buying the OEM part through a channel that cuts out the margin layers. Retail price runs $150 to $210. The mechanic's logic here is brutally simple. Why would you replace a factory spec component with something that was not built to that spec? You would not put a random aftermarket throttle body in a precision engine. The battery is part of the electrical system. Specification: buy the part the engineers chose. Buy ACDelco Professional. Number 3. Optima Red Top and Yellow Top. Optima is the only battery brand on this list that managed to make an automotive component genuinely cool. The spiral cell design, 6 individual cells wound into cylinders and packed into the case, is immediately recognizable on any shelf in any store. And for once in the battery world, the marketing and the performance are pointing in the same direction. The Red Top delivers approximately 800 cold cranking amps and holds that spec in independent real-world testing, which is genuinely rare. Most batteries are tested at room temperature under ideal conditions. The Optima's spiral cell architecture is more vibration-resistant than flat-plate designs, and because the cells are sealed and recombinant, there is no free electrolyte to slosh around, stratify, or leak. Mechanics who work on performance vehicles, off-road builds, and anything with a high-vibration environment have used Optima for years, not because of the spiral cell mystique, but because it survives conditions that kill flat-plate batteries within months. Here is the thing. The yellow top version is a dual-purpose battery. It cranks the engine and it handles deep cycle discharge. If your vehicle has a large aftermarket audio system, upgraded lighting, winch systems, or anything that draws significant continuous current, the yellow top is the battery that does not quietly surrender while your amplifiers are running. No mechanic will tell you this at the counter, but the Optima is one of the few batteries where the retail price, $220 to $280, is actually justified by the engineering, not just the label. Most premium prices in the battery aisle buy you packaging. The Optima's premium buys you performance. That is a distinction that matters enormously, and almost nobody makes it at the point of sale. Number 2. Duralast Platinum AGM. Walk into any AutoZone and you will see the standard Duralast on the shelf. It is fine. It is unremarkable. It is the battery equivalent of a gas station sandwich. It will technically do the job and you will not think about it fondly. But if you walk past the standard Duralast and you keep looking, you will find the Platinum AGM. And here is where the story gets interesting. The Duralast Platinum is built on Clarios's premium manufacturing platform, the same parent company that builds Optima. 710 to 800 cold cranking amps, 100-minute reserve capacity, and a 3-year free replacement warranty with no pro rating. That last point deserves emphasis. No pro rating means that in year 2 and year 3, if the battery fails, you walk in and you get a new battery. You do not get a coupon. You do not get a partial credit. You get a battery. The real kicker is the price. At $160 to $220, the Duralast Platinum AGM competes directly with Optima at $40 to $60 less. Mechanics who work at independent shops and need reliable batteries for their personal vehicles without the Optima price tag have been quietly recommending the Platinum for years. It does not have the spiral cell architecture. It does not have the military mystique. But here is where it gets truly revealing. In daily use conditions, the performance gap between a Duralast Platinum and an Optima Red Top is narrower than the price gap. Translation: the name on the box costs more than the engineering difference justifies. The Platinum gives you most of the Optima's performance at a fraction of the Optima's premium. That is the sleeper story of the battery aisle, and almost nobody standing at that AutoZone counter will ever tell you about it unprompted. Number 1. XS Power D3400. And here we are, the brand that mechanics in performance shops, truck builds, and high-demand electrical installations have been quietly recommending to each other since long before it had any mainstream recognition. XS Power, specifically the D3400. Here is the thing. XS Power did not design this battery for the average consumer. They designed it for the person whose vehicle has a 3,000-watt audio system, a winch, upgraded lighting arrays, and an alternator that has been modified to output more current than the factory battery was ever designed to absorb. That application demands a battery that can deliver massive instantaneous current without voltage sag, recover from deep discharge repeatedly, and do all of this while potentially being mounted in a non-standard orientation, sideways in the trunk, under a back seat. Because it is sealed, AGM and orientation is irrelevant. 1,000 cold cranking amps. Let that number sit for a moment. 1,000 cold cranking amps from a battery that retails at $250 to $330. Ultra low, internal resistance means the D3400 does not just rate well on paper. It delivers its rated performance under real load conditions, which is the distinction between a marketing number and an engineering number. And get this, mechanics at performance shops and off-road specialty garages started buying these for their own daily drivers, not because they had high-output audio systems, but because they discovered that a battery engineered to handle extraordinary electrical demands handles ordinary electrical demands with what feels like contemptuous ease. Cold winter mornings, parasitic drain from modern infotainment systems. High load starts on modified diesel engines. The D3400 processes all of it without complaint. Bottom line, XS Power built a battery without a marketing department whispering in the engineers' ears. They built it for a specific, demanding application and then discovered that demanding applications have a way of revealing quality that ordinary applications never test for. No mechanic will tell you this at the counter because this is not a counter recommendation. This is a whispered conversation in the parking lot after a long Saturday shift when someone points at their truck and says, "Look what I put in last month." The real kicker is that for most daily drivers, this battery is spectacular overkill. And for once in the automotive world, spectacular overkill is exactly what you should want. Here is what every single brand on this list has in common. None of them are the battery with the biggest display at your local parts store. None of them are the battery the counter person recommends first. And none of them carry the biggest advertising budget. The battery aisle, like so much of the retail automotive space, is engineered to reward the brands that spend the most on placement and penalize the consumer who does not know better. Mechanics know better. They know it because they see battery failures. They see the aftermath of buying the brand with the best tagline and the most prominent shelf position. They see the customer who bought a $180 battery 3 years ago and is standing in the parking lot at 6 in the morning wondering why nothing is happening when they turn the key. That experience, repeated, documented, stored in the professional memory of every technician who has ever done a load test, is the real curriculum behind every brand on this list. Here is the thing about the battery aisle. It is not organized by quality, it is organized by margin. The brands with the highest retail markup get the best shelf placement, the most prominent displays, and the most enthusiastic counter recommendations. The brands that mechanics actually trust are the ones you have to know to look for. They are in the back. They are in the Nappa catalog. They are behind the Costco membership card. They are on the shelf at AutoZone with a name that sounds like a budget pick but is actually built on a premium platform. The final wisdom is simple. Stop buying the battery with the biggest end cap. Start buying the battery that mechanics put in their own vehicles. The 8 brands on this list are not secrets because they are obscure. They are secrets because the retail system has a financial incentive to keep you from finding them. Now you know. Hit subscribe if you want the truth. Mechanics know before your next battery dies on you. And drop in the comments. Which brand on this list surprised you most? Because chances are, it was the one sitting closest to the cheapest price tag.